What is up, my friends? How are we? We're very welcome along to Tuesday night's late night agenda. Apologies that I'm a couple of minutes late, but like everybody else, I was watching the penalty incident in the Inter-Barca game. I hope we're all well, and yes, I know the headline tonight, the thumbnail tonight, the whole KONATE Madrid stuff, we will get stuck into it, and trust me, I'm as frustrated by these headlines as you are. So we're going to go through it tonight and figure out, well, have we got much to worry about? What can Liverpool do to resolve it? We're going to talk about Jarell Hato as well. A little bit about some potential right-back options now that we know Trent's departing. A little bit about ENQUIRIES. We're going to speak about Chiesa and his future. And, of course, whatever else it is that you guys would like to discuss tonight. It is your show, as always, and I'm here to, well, hopefully, be the middleman between you and sensibility. Probably not. Me and sensible comments don't really work well together. So look, loads to get through tonight, as I said, my friends. We're going to discuss the price tag for Queevy and Kelleher. We're going to ask, why is Trent banned from Currys? Yes, that's right. Currys, the electrical retailer. They've also banned him from Pop World. So there you go. I think Liverpool fans far and wide in the city of Liverpool are letting Trent know exactly how they feel about this situation. Even Harvey, my dog's barking out there now, so he's annoyed by it as well. So we're going to go through all of this tonight. We're going to ask, what should Liverpool do about the offer to let Trent go early? You know, for me, the best scenario would be Trent not taking any part in the last 3 games, but that's just me being a bit of a shithouse. But if they do want him, seemingly they're going to come forward with an offer of €1 million, about £850,000, according to the BBC. I did ask you guys to let me know your thoughts earlier on in the news video about what you would do if you were Liverpool in this situation with Trent. I mean, genuinely, as a human being, I can't believe he'd have the cheek to get on the coach and do the bus parade. I wouldn't in his position. I just wouldn't have the barefaced brass neck to do it after leaving the club or telling the club you want to leave. So I want to know what you think about it. Do you think Trent should get to do the farewell at Anfield the last game of the season? Should he be on the bus tour? Or should the club maybe protect him, is what I'm trying to say here, because I would imagine there will be a few choice words from certain sections of the fan base. Cal, thank you, my man, for our first super chat of the night. Really do appreciate you, Cal. You said, if Madrid get KONATE on a free, I'm going to revive Admiral Nelson and lead the Armada down to Spain myself. Well, I'll join you. You know, I might have to take a few seasickness tablets, my man, but I'll join you. Yeah, look, I don't know what to make of this latest Real Madrid link, but we will talk through it tonight, of course, as well. While we're waiting for everybody just to come in at halftime, I want to also just quickly say thank you to our incredible sponsor, Surfshark. As you can see, tonight we are being brought to you by our friends at Surfshark. So, as is always the case, I'm going to just play you guys a little video which explains everything that you need to know about Surfshark, and I will be back in 65 quick seconds where we'll get stuck into Trent, KONATE, and everything else. Much love. This video is sponsored by Surfshark, the best VPN on the market. Surfshark is an app or browser extension that allows you to change your location to access websites in other countries and keep you safe from hackers. For example, we here in Ireland can access other countries' Netflix libraries, streaming services such as DAZN in Spain for those all-important Premier League games. Surfshark keeps you safe and private by protecting everything you do online. When your device connects to the internet, all that information is, in a way, blurred out. Surfshark is particularly useful for keeping you safe if you use public Wi-Fi, such as a college or a cafe. Surfshark allows you to use one subscription on unlimited devices, meaning that you can even share an account with friends and family. On top of this, Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, you can even get your money back. Our sign-up offer gives you Surfshark VPN for just over €2 per month and up to 4 months free. Why not scan the QR code on screen or use the link in the description to take advantage of this offer. Right, my friends, we are back, and as always, thank you to our incredible sponsor, Surfshark. Right, Liverpool Profits Aid, thank you for the link earlier on. I was worried you ran out of tickets. No, the link should be in the description of most of our recent videos, or if anybody else is ever stuck and looking to find them, just search Hot Water Comedy Club Anfield Agenda and it shows up on Google, but no problem, my man, and thank you for coming along. Right, so tonight, let's start off with the situation with Trent. So let's go through this and see what's been written around this one. The Mirror said, This might well have been Trent's hardest decision of his life, but it's one that has been meticulously planned. They go on to say that in truth it was probably sorted last year. Now, I was reading a piece on the Echo and they kind of suggested that this could have been 4 years in the making for Trent. There was a piece, I think, by Theo Squires, and I was reading through it, a very interesting piece in all honesty, and Theo was saying that it looks, I think it was Theo Squires, Theo was saying that basically when Trent was given his last contract, Andy Robertson was given a 5-year deal, Alisson was given a 6-year deal, and Trent was offered a 5-year deal, but he was insistent on only signing a 4-year deal. So you wonder, was this in the works all the way back even then? Sammy Mockbell of the BBC have said Real Madrid are considering an offer of about €1 million to release Trent Alexander-Arnold from his Liverpool deal early. So I'm going to start the poll tonight by asking, would you take that 1 million from Real Madrid or 850 grand? So bear with me. So sorry for the silence, I just can't type and talk at the same time. Okay, right. So, question is going to be, should Liverpool take the €1 million on offer from Real Madrid to let Trent depart early? 1 sec, just one more thing to fix on that. Right, so yay or nay, let me know, and we will revisit this in a while. Cool, right, poll is up. Right, the last pies said, we better not get Sesko, he's garbage. I don't know how you've come to the conclusion that he's garbage. Benjamin Sesko, in my opinion, mate, he's a really good footballer. He's not the finished product, but I would think you're probably on your own in thinking he's garbage. Now, you might think he's overhyped. That's understandable, maybe, but garbage? I think that's strong terms, but I respect your opinion and thank you for your super chat. Brian reckons there's no effing way that we should take the money from Madrid. So I looked at it a couple of ways in my mind, Brian, and I thought the money doesn't really matter to me in this scenario. It's more a case of what the club want to do with Trent. So if I'm Liverpool, I'd say to Trent, we'll take the £1 million, but you go now. You leave now. You cancel down the rest of your contract and you leave the club right now. No parade, no last day goodbye at Anfield. Off you pop. Go start training with Real Madrid and prepare for the Club World Cup. That's what I'd do. The club, well, they may make him see out his contract. I mean, if we look at the wording from the post yesterday that we put up, the club had said he will leave when his contract expires. And if that's the case, that would be at the end of June. So I guess it'll come down to what the club want to do here. If he stays and does the last game of the season, the Arsenal game, and let's say the bus parade, I just don't see how that isn't awkward for everybody else. If I'm Trent getting on that bus, the first thing I'm thinking is this is going to take away some of the fun and limelight from the players who aren't going to get some angry responses. Because if there's some Disney scenario here where they think that everybody's going to just applaud Trent and wish him the best, some people will do that, but I think the majority will think very differently. Marcus said, absolutely sell him. The sooner he's gone, the better. The question is, would FSG take the 1 mil? Well, for me, Joshua, the money's kind of irrelevant in this scenario. It's more a case of what should we do? Should we let him go early? Or should we allow him to stay at the club, finish his season, go on the bus tour and then head off? I guess we'll find out soon enough what way it's going to happen. But for me, Trent's decided where his future is. It isn't going to be at Liverpool. And if I'm Arne Slot, I'm telling him to stay at home. Genuinely, I would. I wouldn't have the brass neck if I was Trent to get on that bus or to do a lap of honour in the last day of the season at Anfield. I just wouldn't. Will you be at the parade? No, I won't, mate. I'm flying home that morning. So I'm over for the show. I'm over for the 24th, 25th. I'm flying home the morning of the 26th. And then I'm flying back into Liverpool on the 28th for our other show. So no, I won't be at the parade. I'll be in between work at that point. And honestly, I wouldn't have gone either way. That many people is just, my anxiety couldn't cope with that many people in one place. So no, there's no way I'd be able to get through it, unfortunately. Philip said, get the rat out of the club at the earliest possible opportunity. Joseph Purvis said maybe it would give FSG a few extra funds for a replacement. I'm not sure FSG would be wetting themselves for that. Well, I want to give credit for this to Ben Spolchak, who, writing for Anfield Watch, went through a list of some of the potential right-back options that Liverpool could look at. And I pulled 2 or 3 names from it that I wanted to just have a conversation about. And I'm going to read out exactly what he has written. And for the full piece, of course, I would advise everybody to check out Anfield Watch and go and have a read of it. He goes through 10 fullbacks that are worth looking at, or could be worth looking at for Liverpool. But a few of them just stood out to me, and I wanted to get your take on it. So we're going to start off with Guevara Reid, who he said is very similar to another defender we've been linked with. He has a 99% similarity to Trent Alexander-Arnold as well, but he's only 18 years of age. He goes on to say that since he's already caught the eye of Champions League clubs, the under-23 player has more goal contributions than previous seasons. He's a disciplined defender who provides plenty going forward. He's a player who's still raw, but he also goes on to say he's a player who admitted that he would love to play for Liverpool one day. So Guevara Reid is one option. The next one is Vanderson, who somebody mentioned to me in the chat the other day. Goes on to say, in terms of playing style, the AS Monaco defender is a bit more like Conor Bradley. Vanderson is a Brazilian international who is quick and loves to hug the touchline, make overlapping runs when he goes to support the attack. Defensively, he's a very active member of his team. He ranks in the 96th percentile among fullbacks in Europe's top 5 leagues for interceptions at 1.75 per 90, and in the 95th percentile for tackles, 3.17 per 90. He said, with him, you don't get Trent Alexander-Arnold's line-breaking passes. He ranks 58th percentile for progressive passes, but you get a very direct and very competent player in that position, and is still only 23 years of age. So Vanderson, Guevara Reid are the two pieces that I've pulled from that article. But again, full credit to Bence and Anfield Watch, and do go over there if you want to read the article in its entirety. Right, Brian, thank you as always, sir, for your incredible generosity. And also, for my daughter's present that you sent, Brian, thank you. She's already made good use of it, you'll be happy to know. But again, I want to just say thank you, mate, from all of us. So you said you make a good point about getting them the hell out, admittedly. I loathe to make any accommodation to Madrid or Trent. Yeah, you see, that part I also get, Brian. But I think it might be a win-win for everybody in that scenario. I mean, like yourself, I don't want to see Liverpool bound down to Madrid or to make Trent's life any easier. But I wonder, would it just make everybody's life easier, including the club and including the ability then for Arnott and the players to really enjoy the last day of the season where they get the trophy, and to really enjoy the fact that they get the parade. I mean, whatever about Trent being there to get his medal, fair enough. But I certainly wouldn't be jumping on that bus if I was him, Brian. I wouldn't have the balls to do it, in all honesty. But, you know, maybe he and his teammates feel differently. So, Frimpong, let's talk about him, because he's another option at right back. And is starting to be linked quite a bit. David Ornstein was speaking about him yesterday, saying Frimpong would be open to the idea and likes the idea of a move to Liverpool. What we don't know, though, is whether Liverpool will pursue that. So I can't tell you sitting here whether Liverpool will go after Frimpong or not, but we know 35 million euro will get the job done. Now, I want to just read out a piece to you, because I told everybody this a month ago, but it seems the media are only catching up now. So, Aina of Nottingham Forest has been monitored, although he is no longer available on a free, because as I told you guys about a month ago, Nottingham Forest had the option to extend his contract by another 12 months, and they have now triggered that option to extend his contract by 12 months, meaning that he won't be available on a free, and he's already 28 years of age, so I can't see Liverpool going after a deal there. But I just wanted to confirm what I'd mentioned previously about Forest having that option to trigger another year on his deal. Arthur Bright said, it's all been about him since announcing it. Now it's about him. All he does now is make it difficult and for awkward situations. Chase him, send him his medal in the post, and then everybody can just enjoy things. Yeah. See, look, I'm that way of thinking, mate. I'm very bitter about all of this. I am. I can't lie. I am. And for me, sorry, 1 second. Sarka, I'm working in the middle of a live stream. For me, yeah, I would say no. Off you go. Sit at home. Stay where you are. My offer for Trent is 5% of the Club World Cup winnings, which Real Madrid win it is 125 million, given us 6.25 million. Yeah, I can't say that they're going to accept that or even contemplate that, to be honest with you, mate. Marcus said the referee for our next game, where we're getting the Guard of Honour, has been confirmed as Anthony Taylor. His assistants will be Gary Bestwick and Lee Betts. Fourth official, Craig Pawson. VAR, I knew they'd fucking do it. Anyone want to guess who's on VAR for the Arsenal game? I mean, if you were to pick one referee or assistant referee or VAR not to put on for this game, who would you not put on? And that's the answer. Of course, when there's a game between Liverpool and Arsenal, of course they have to make sure that they do the usual to us and put Paul Tierney on VAR. Paul Tierney. Now, thankfully, this game is nothing on the line for us. But Paul Tierney's been given the VAR officiating for that day. They just couldn't help themselves, could they? Tierney of all bleeding names. Couldn't make this shit up. Tierney. Ugh. Right, let's talk about Aït-Nouri for a little bit, because Jay Percy of The Telegraph has said Wolves are preparing to offer Aït-Nouri a new contract. He goes on to say that Aït-Nouri has been scouted frequently by Liverpool in recent seasons, but their number one target is Milos Kerkez. Now, as I mentioned to you guys the other day, Manchester City are also running the rule over a potential deal for Aït-Nouri. But I don't know if Wolves will be able to get him to commit to that new contract before another club comes in and makes an offer. But maybe he signs an offer with a low enough release clause. Something Trent didn't do, because maybe he's not selfish like Trent. Craig, has Oliver not been near our game since his blunder? Do you know, Muckrab? I can't remember, my man. I can't remember. I'd be lying to you if I told you I knew the answer 100%. But I don't know, is the honest answer. I don't know. But Tierney just winds me up. Honestly, I don't know. Thankfully, we've won the league, so we don't need to worry about that one. But did you see Arteta, by the way, trying to talk about being lucky at some times and that Liverpool have won the league with less points than Arsenal have gotten previous seasons? I mean, the delusion is just top to bottom at Arsenal. It really is, from the manager right the way down to the fan base. So, 1, the season isn't over. 2, Liverpool have put up points tallies that Arsenal could only dream of and still never won the league title. So just accept you weren't good enough, Mikel, and go over it and see what happens in Paris tomorrow night. But just accept in the league you weren't good enough. Too many draws because you're too conservative cost you the league title, and we'll enjoy it because we deserve to win it. I am going to enjoy every second of winding up Arsenal fans about this, because they have been the most bitter clowns I've come across over the last year. Not all, of course. There are a handful of sound Arsenal fans, Lee Gunner being one of them, but Jesus, the delusion is unreal. If Liverpool didn't exist, the race for the title would be interesting to see as a neutral. It's so close, said Joshua. It's just mad, isn't it? Like, oh, well, other seasons we would have won it. Well, it isn't other seasons, is it, mate? It isn't. It's this season, and this season you expected to properly challenge for the league title, and you shit the bed. Just own it. Last Pies said, the fact he knows that FSG are cheap and he still robbed us of a transfer fee is the most disgusting part. So, the part that I've been thinking a lot about this over the last couple of days, mate, is truly, when did this all start? This idea in Trent's mind. Because I mentioned Theo Squire's piece earlier on, and I thought it was a very enjoyable read. I'm not against giving the Echo credit for good pieces of work when they do it, but in the piece, it got me thinking, has he been preparing for this for a while? Because right now, Trent is coming into what would be classed as his prime, the peak years of his career. And coincidentally, that's when his last contract runs out. And he could have taken the extra year that Liverpool offered him, because they offered him 5. Alisson signed 6. But he didn't. He chose 4. So he either started thinking about this 4 years ago, or there's a thought process that he did it 2 years ago. And then there's also a couple of different reports. One suggesting that he told Madrid in December that he was going to move. And then, of course, we know that he told Arne Slot in March during the international break that he wasn't going to be signing a new deal. So I just don't know what to believe anymore. But I do know this. No matter who you read and what you read, some variation of this headline is probably closer to the truth. This might well have been the hardest decision Trent's ever had, but it is one that has been meticulously planned. In truth, probably sorted last summer. Now, some more interesting bits and pieces here is Paul Joyce has said that talks between Liverpool and Real Madrid took place on Monday evening, a mere few hours after Trent made his announcement that he wouldn't be signing a new deal at his boyhood club. Now, again, I don't think that's a coincidence. Again, all planned. Real Madrid have approached Liverpool about signing Trent ahead of the Club World Cup, said Sky Sports News. And as we reported earlier on, Sammy Mockbell of the BBC reckons that they are going to offer about €1 million for that. And that's where we started with tonight's poll. Would you accept the 1 million? Do you think we should take it? So far, we've nearly had 1,000 votes, by the way, so please do keep voting on this one if you haven't yet. We only need another 80 to get to the 1,000 votes, and then we'll see what you guys think we should do if that offer comes in. We need to start offering 7-year contracts, said Bruno. Well, look, we usually do offer 5, to be fair, and Trent was offered a longer deal. But you can't make a player sign something. So, for instance, people have said that we should have sold Trent, or they should have forced him into signing a new deal. They can't make him do either. If Trent wants to run down a deal, or not just him, any player, they're human beings. You can't make them do what you want them to. You can make it awkward for them. You can make it clear to them they're not going to play or whatever. But ultimately, legally, a player can just sit there and run down his deal. And it feels like this was instigated by Trent, that if he was going to move away from Liverpool, it was going to be at this precise point. And I think that's the fairest I can be with it. I feel like this is the time where he was either going to commit the best years of his career to Liverpool Football Club and become a one-club man, or he wasn't, and he moves on. And it's very clear now which one he was doing, which is moving on. And don't lose that fact in your thought process. The best years of his career, his peak prime years, he's decided to take elsewhere and not stay with his boyhood club. And also, apparently there's no plans at the minute to remove the mural that is currently adorning the side of a house with Trent's image on it. Although, look, we'll see what happens in the future there. Rory White said, similar situation with KONATE now. You can't even sell him if he refuses to move. Exactly. But what we can do, we do have a bit more leverage in that situation. So I'm going to try to explain it as best as I can. But let's start off with the story about KONATE. So, Marca, of course, Real Madrid mouthpiece, Spanish publication, said Real Madrid plan to continue their strategy of signing elite players as free agents. The next target could be Liverpool's Ibrahima KONATE in 2026. Now, what we have here at our disposal is the World Cup. So KONATE, let's say, if he doesn't sign a new deal or looks like he won't accept a sale somewhere, then Liverpool, if they had a pair of balls, could say, well, look, then you're going to be benched. You're going to be on the sidelines for an entire year ahead of a World Cup. How does that suit you? So in this case, we do have a little bit more leverage. Now, of course, Liverpool and any club would want to be far more respectful than that. So I would hope that if KONATE doesn't want to sign a new deal, that he would understand that the club would want to sell him and bring in some money. But again, we're talking worst case scenarios here. The hope is still that Ibrahima KONATE signs a new deal because, you know, we all want him to. He's been very, very good this season with Virgil. And hopefully the club can get an agreement with him. If they can't, though, well then we have to have learned lessons from the past and start playing a bit more hardball in these situations. And we do have that potential avenue to explore if he was to sit tight to run down his deal, let's say. So that's 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 one avenue. But look, I hope he wants to stay. And if we go back to what Fabrizio Romano said a while ago, Liverpool were very close to getting that agreement with him, but things have gone a bit quiet. We know Paris Saint-Germain are going to be interested. I think Arsenal should be more worried than Liverpool from Real Madrid. I think Saliba is probably somebody Real Madrid will make a move for rather than Ibu. But I think the big problem for us could be Paris Saint-Germain. That is my thought process. They look like they could be moving Marquinhos on as well this summer, so I think they're the ones we need to worry about. But hopefully Ibu wants to stay and continue the project with Liverpool, and we all want him to stay as well. Right, let's get the result of this poll. So we've had over 1,000 votes, and we said, should Liverpool take the €1 million offer from Madrid to let Trent leave early? And 59% of people that voted said yes, that Liverpool should take that 1 billion offer if it comes in from Madrid to let him go early. So you can see not everybody in agreement, like most of these things. Some are on one side, some on the other. Let's wait and see what happens, though. It's all very well and good us talking about it, but until that offer is put on the table, maybe Liverpool don't have that decision to make. Martin said it would be hard not to give KONATE the 200k a week he wants after giving Virgil top dollar. It's a good point you raised, to be fair, Martin. And it's one that I would have probably changed my view on as well. Because like you, well, maybe not like you, but going back to the 200k, when Virgil hadn't signed his new deal and KONATE is on about 80k, I was somebody that said it's too big of a jump to put him up to 200k. But I often talk about leverage, and right now, KONATE has some leverage in this situation. He knows that Virgil's just signed a big money deal. He knows that Trent's moved on and the club have the ability and wiggle room to offer him a much improved deal. And he also knows there are clubs waiting in the wings if he doesn't sign a new deal with Liverpool that he will probably be able to get top dollar for. So, yeah, I would probably say I would edge more closely to the 200 grand than I would have a month ago, if I'm being honest with you, Martin. But still, I would still think hopefully 160 to 180 could be done, maybe with some incentivized bits and pieces in there. But yeah, it's a very fair point that you've raised. Sorry, I'm just reading through some more of the comments. Probably holding off until the summer, said Adzer. With regards to KONATE, we don't have... Look, if Liverpool haven't learned their lessons about prioritising these things and not taking their eye off the ball, I don't know if we ever will. Because we took our eye off the ball previously and allowed this Trent situation to get where it is. They should be moving quickly now to get KONATE tied up. And then we can start talking about transfers and whatnot, because you need to know what you're doing and what you're dealing with before you go out into the market. So if you're trying to convince a player like Dean Huijsen that he's going to get game time, well, you've got to be able to show him that and show him the pathway of where he's going to get the minutes. Because it's all very well and good to say, come and play for the champions. But what we know about Huijsen and his camp is they've made it clear as well that they want to prioritise his continued development, which is more than understandable. So for me, I think it's a two-horse race for Huijsen right now. I think it's Liverpool and Chelsea. It could come down to who can offer him the best pathway to first-team action. Money will play some factor in it, but again, I think it's a two-horse race there, in my opinion, at the minute. And whoever puts forward the best proposal, which is why I kept talking about the fact that I'd sell Kwanzaa, and that way you can say, well, look, there is this spot here. We're going to have you take up this spot. You will be one of three centre-backs that we're going to rotate through, and we'll have some backup players there as well. At least that's what I would do if I was the Reds. Mutz, say what you see, said, hi Craig, how are you? I'm currently over in Crete at the moment, 2 hours ahead of Ireland. Came over yesterday, here for 2 weeks. Nice. Enjoy. My daughter just got back from Liverpool today. She was over there for a couple of days for her 21st. So I hope you have a good time, my man, and thank you for dropping in. Yeah, I'm good. So it's a weird time, though, at the minute, because we've won the league, so it's kind of a formality now for the next few weeks. The Trent situation yesterday kind of put us all on the back foot and on a bit of a downer, if I'm being honest with you. So I'm just looking forward to some positive links and some positive talk about who Liverpool are going to bring in the future, because right now it's all feeling a little bit downbeat at the minute, to be honest with you. I want Liverpool to again get some positive vibes going, and I'm looking forward to the game at the weekend against Arsenal as well. Craig, is it possible to have a poll on KONATE? Absolutely. Just what would you like the poll to be? You know, just give me what area you want me to put the poll up in with regards to what do we think will happen, what do you think you should get. You know, happy to do it, my man. It's your show. You guys let me know. Last Pies. I get very nervous when I read your name, mate. I don't want... Last Pies gets me nervous, you know. Look at me. A man who loves his pies. Anyway, he said, surely if it's illegal for Madrid to be talking to players and tell... Surely it's illegal for Madrid to be talking to players and tell them to run down their contract so they can sign them for free. There's always ways around these things. So whilst it is illegal for a club to tap up a player and get in their ear, what isn't illegal is to speak to the agent. So basically, you get around that rule by having somebody in the middle. So you go through the agent then talks to the player, and vice versa. That's how you get around these things. So, yeah, Madrid have been known for it for a long time, and if we're being really honest, all football clubs use these tactics with getting in players' ears. So, yeah. But you're right, mate. I'm sick of them. I'm absolutely sick of Madrid. They can do one. And while we're on the topic of Madrid, well, let's talk about Madrid going in for another player that Liverpool have been linked with. This comes from Sky Sports, and it said, Real Madrid have identified Ajax teenager Jurel Haddo as a left-back target. However, they face competition from Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool for the 19-year-old. So we've seen Madrid's name thrown around with Hoyson, although that looks to have quietened down. Now KONATE, as we said at the start of the stream, and you can put Haddo in the mix now as a name that Real Madrid are in for. Although, to be fair, I don't know what stage Liverpool's interest is at with Haddo. It doesn't look like he's certainly the first choice left back target, as we've mentioned. That's going to be Kirkes. So maybe we don't have as much of an interest over Haddo, but Madrid's name being mentioned around once again. Muckrab said, but nothing will happen. Pay off the right people. Yeah. Look, it happens all the time in football, mate. You've got to be honest about it. It happens all the time. Daniel Brown said, I'm so sick of Real Madrid. Daniel, my friend, you're not the only one. Every time I hear their name, I kind of get a shiver. And I just don't like them. I despise them. Chiesa. We haven't spoken about Chiesa yet, so let's have a conversation around him. I'm just trying to see again what poll you guys want me to put up on the KONATE situation. They are everything that's wrong with football. Yes, with modern football, Daniel. I would agree, sir. Right, let's talk about Chiesa's future. Because Caught Offside say that Liverpool are considering letting him go this summer, but only if they can secure a permanent exit. So according to this report, Liverpool have no interest in a loan for Federico Chiesa. Piece goes on to say he made his 5th Premier League appearance of the season, and that Napoli and AC Milan are big admirers of his. So let's wait and see. But for me, it can't be a loan. It just can't be. It's either you sell the guy this summer or you pay him, or you play him, next season. I don't think we're going to see him played next season, so hopefully, for everybody concerned, he can get a move. Look, we all want him to play. Every one of us Liverpool fans want him to be given a chance, but we've seen this season that he's not going to get it, so best to just part ways, move on, and free up an overseas place and free up some money again. But again, that'll leave us another attacker to bring in. It feels to me like every summer, there's a few players around the fringes, like a Chiesa, let's say, who moves on but don't get replaced. And it ends up shortening our squad even more. So let's talk like Matip. Moved on, never got replaced. This is what annoys me, because these fringe players are all moving on. But we're still left with a shortened squad and a shortened amount of players the manager will trust and play. So we need to start being more proactive in these situations this summer. Mutz, say what you see, said, yes, I saw that Trent news in Dublin Airport yesterday when I was waiting for my flight in Terminal 2. Not surprised when I saw the news. It would have been gas, actually. if I saw you in the airport. Oh, you wouldn't have seen me in the airport, my man. She got the bus back. She didn't come back to our house. She went back down to where our boyfriend lives down in Wexford, but she was in Terminal 2 as well, though. But thank you, my man. And look, I do hope you have a wonderful holiday. Just want to again remind everybody, maybe in Ireland, that we do have a show coming up in Cork. It is confirmed. It is on sale right now. You can get your tickets to our over 18 show at Cypress Avenue, Cork on the 8th of August. Doors will open at 7 p.m. As you can see, you can get your tickets with that QR code, or if you go to the link in the description of this stream, you'll get a Linktree link, and all of our available shows are going to be there. So we've 2 coming up in Liverpool and 1 in Cork. And the ones in Liverpool are absolutely flying, so can't wait to come over. And Cork we just released yesterday, so if you do want to come along, it is limited. Cork, there is no ability to move it upwards. If it sells out, it sells out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But just letting you guys know now that they are on sale. All of them are priced at 20 quid. Have you read the Alvarez news? Again, no, actually, I haven't read anything about Julian Alvarez today, so I don't know if there's something in particular you wanted to discuss, my man, but I don't know what it is that that the story is about. Sorry, I don't know if there's any updates. Right, so where was the poll? Somebody asked. Scrolling back up. See, I really just don't know how to word the poll about KONATE, because if I ask, do you want him to stay, of course we're all going to say yes. If I ask, do you think he's going to stay, I think people are going to say yes. So I really just don't know what way to word the poll to get an answer. So any suggestions, lash it into the chat. Adzer said Origi never really got replaced either. A. Michael said, Craig, Liverpool need to have 2 quality players in every position to keep them at the top of their game and fighting for the position week in and week out, making the squad better and not getting complacent. I agree. And to be fair, most of the time we've in and around that, but we also sometimes cheap out by having a player that can play in 2 or 3 positions and you wouldn't really consider a starter. I would like a team of, or a squad of, let's say, 18 players that all think they want this, they could and should be starting, and let them fight it out and battle it out themselves. That would be my dream scenario. And I am both intrigued and anxious about what this summer transfer window has in store for us. I mean, I'd love to be sitting here the end of August talking about a fantastic window and, you know, looking to defending our Premier League campaign and maybe going in and winning the Champions League, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Cal said, Craig, did you hear about allegedly Chiesa's medical missing something initially, innocently later discovered, which is why he's not playing? Somebody mentioned something in the chat. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. I don't know anything about it, to be honest with you. But the reason I would say I don't think there's anything to it, Cal, is this. If something was missing in the medical, why would he be on the bench? If there was any concerns that he isn't fit enough or might get an injury, why would you keep putting him on the bench every single week? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I would say that that's probably more conjecture and gossip rather than reality, because if you then discover that he had a potential problem, you wouldn't just keep putting him on the bench week after week. Latest news now is Liverpool willing to sell Núñez for a discounted price to get Alvarez. Well, look, I think all of us, well, at least I hope all of us would be open to that possibility. Look, let's say, as a conversation point, we had to put, and I'm trying to be realistic here, £50 million on top of Darwin Núñez to get Julian Alvarez. I'd do that. I'd do that in a heartbeat. You know, we are going to have to take a hit on Darwin. It's just a matter of how much of a hit and what the valuation is on Alvarez. But if there was any world where Liverpool could move him on and put 50 million on top of it or something to get Alvarez, I'd be all over that, Sipsco, mate. I will take that in a heartbeat. Lots of other people in the chat saying as well, if it was true about Chiesa, he wouldn't be in the squad at all. And I agree. I just think there's no sense to... just doesn't make any sense to me that he'd be in the squad week after week. And it would give Aaron a very easy out as well, by the way. If it was true, to just say, well, there's a medical reason we can't play him. And that would give him a very easy out. Muckrab says 50, way more money plus Darwin. Really? I don't think so. They paid 85 million euro, Atleti, for Alvarez, if I'm not mistaken. So, let's put his value at 85, 90 million pound even. I think 50 million in Darwin sounds fair. Honestly, I do. Jason, Irish Red, said, we knew it would be a cut price deal for Núñez because of how bad he's been since we signed him. I just want him gone now, no matter how low the price is. Well, look, we do want to get the best deal possible for the club. I guess it may depend on what he wants to do. Like, I would imagine we get more money if he was to go to Saudi than if he was to go to Atleti. But again, he might want to go to Saudi, so he might say, if you want rid of me, I want to go and play for Atletico Madrid. And in that case, you've got to just try and make it happen. So this is where I do trust Michael Edwards, to be fair. Michael Edwards has always been very good in this department. And I'm sure Richard Hughes will be well briefed on it as well. So if Liverpool and Atleti are at least even coming to the table for a deal like that, you'd hope that they can find common ground and get it done. Mutt, say what you see. He said, yes, I would absolutely take that in a heartbeat. You took the words out of my mouth, Craig, as I was writing this. Liverpool profit. I've already answered exactly the post you've written again earlier on in the stream, mate. And I've said to you, no problem. Just Google Anfield Agenda, Hot Water Comedy Club, and the tickets come up. So no need to say thanks again, my man. Got it the first time. You're very welcome. And I look forward to seeing you on the night. I saw a report saying Atletico want 120 million from. They're not going to get 120 million from. Let's be honest about that. And I guess the key thing to that might be what he wants, because there is already talk that Alvarez is unhappy at Atletico Madrid. And this is outside of Liverpool's interest or not. There's already been talk that he isn't happy about how the season went, and he isn't happy about the way things are going over there. So if he is unsettled in any way, maybe that makes your job a bit easier. Stevie Boy said, so clubs are showing an interest in Elliott. If Liverpool sell Elliott, will there be an upgrade or a cheaper option? Worst case scenario gets zero. I would say there will be an upgrade, or at least what the club view an upgrade. The price tag for Harvey Elliott seemingly £40 million upwards. And who do I think comes in to replace him? Genuinely, I wouldn't have a clue. We've spoken about loads of names in the past. How truthful the links to Morgan Rogers, don't know. But I would say that Liverpool would have a player in mind who they want to bring in if Elliott moves on. They couldn't just keep chopping down the squad, Stevie Boy, and not bring in some replacements. Well, I say that, but we've done it in the past. But for somebody like Elliott, nah, I think they would have someone lined up. Craig, is there a VAT/tax saving on swap deals? No. Everything is done at market value. So even if, now again, I'm no accountant, but everything would have to have the appropriate VAT, tax, and any other government fees due in these. So if it was a swap deal, then it would be a valuation and you'd still pay the tax on the valuation. So either way, when we talk about swap deals in football, it's most likely just an exchange of registrations with maybe a piece saying this player moves for this player moves for that, but ultimately the taxman always makes sure they get the cut, mate. David Newell said, don't think we can lose any more homegrown players, otherwise it means replacing them like for like. Well, I do think there are a few homegrown players that Liverpool could look at. So just to throw some names out there, David, Mark Gay, as an example, could be somebody. who I'm trying to think of other players we've been linked with that might fall into the homegrown category. So we're moving on Kelleher, who would be homegrown. Mamardashvili absolutely wouldn't be. I'm just trying to go through other links to players. One interesting thing that I mentioned in the video earlier on is it does look like Mbeumo is going to be leaving Brentford this summer. His captain, Christian Norgard, said as much. So where's he going to go? I hope to us, because I'd love him at Liverpool. I think Mbeumo ticks a lot of boxes for multiple positions, and I really like him. So I hope we're in the mix. I think United are in the mix as well. But it does seem to be very likely that he departs Brentford this summer. If even his own club captain is saying he's likely going to leave, I think we can take it for granted that he's going to leave. I don't trust Richard Hughes, said Bruno. I just don't know what to make of him yet. I mean, in one sense, Bruno, look at the players he brought in to Bournemouth. Huijsen, Kirkes, Evan Nielsen, um, Kluivert. So he has a track record of being able to spot and bring through good quality players, and I hope he continues to do that at Liverpool. So, yeah, look, my concern's always with the money and the owners, not about whether Hughes and Edwards can get deals done. I think if they're given the ability to go out and compete financially, they can get the job done. They're both very good at what they do. For me, it always comes down to what financial constraints the owners might have them working under or not. JD said the homegrown thing is why Frimpong is interesting. Yes, he came through the Manchester City Academy, if my memory's right. The more I've thought about this Frimpong thing, the more I think it could be a best of both worlds scenario. Like I've said, you can use him at right back, but you can also have him as a Salah alternative or replacement, or if you need to tweak a formation. The fact that he likes the idea of a move to Liverpool as well, and the fact you're talking about £28 million, £29 million, I think that would be a cracking idea. I don't think he's a like for like with Bradley or anything close to it, but I do think it's an interesting option that Arna would have, giving him the ability to mix it up tactically as well if needs be. So, yeah, and the homegrown spot as well, which is a good shout. Michael Dunstan said Anthony Gordon. Nothing new for me on that one. That one has seemingly gone quiet. There's been some talk about Mo Kudus of West Ham again. It seems as if Arsenal are entering the race or are interested in him, but it also seems as if West Ham may accept offers below his £85 million release clause, because I think they're realistic and realise nobody's going to pay that £85 million for him. Hand on heart, though, I'd prefer Mbeumo over Mo Kudus. I really would. How is Dan's form? Well, he's still injured. So, well, he's working his way back from injury, definitely. That's why that loan to Sunderland didn't materialise. His full focus is just on getting fit for pre-season. Rory White said, Javi Simon's links keep appearing. How credible are they? I hope not very credible, because I really don't think he's worth the money. But they are there, they are consistent, and they aren't coming from the most ridiculous of sources at times. Like, they are credible. So I just hope not. I just don't see Xavi Simons as being that guy, not at €70 million either. David Massett said, don't want Xavi Simons, don't rate him. I'm in your camp, mate. I just don't think he's worth a punt. You know, if you said, like, for that money, you could go out there and bring in, let's say, Cherky and Cherky and Stiller for that money, pretty much, you could bring in. And I know which ones I think would be more value for money. And on Angelo Stiller, his name just is not going away, by the way. €60 million, being linked again with Liverpool today over in Germany and some other reports. And this one is very interesting because, of course, he was, it's now been said, the alternative option to Zubamendi at the time. So let's wait and see if that happens with Angelo Stiller. But I think €60 million is the asking price from Stuttgart. I just read out your super chat, Dave. I didn't miss it. You know, sometimes Some things people need to understand about super chats, by the way, and sometimes I do miss them. But other times I'm in the middle of a segment that doesn't link into what the super chat is about, and I have to continue going direction I'm going. But in the new system, I do have it. I do have it open, and I can see all the super chats more clearly now, my man. So sometimes you just need to bear with me. But if it's gone 5 minutes or something, by all means, give me a nudge. If Bradley gets injured next season and he's number one choice, who will step in? Well, that's why we're talking about the idea of maybe somebody like Frimpong. At the moment, with what's in the squad, you'd probably be looking at Joe Gomez, Jarell Kwanzaa, Curtis Jones, as we've seen at an absolute push. But I would imagine, look, we're going to bring in a right back of some variety this summer. I'd be absolutely astonished if we don't. It's just a matter of who, how much, and is this person going to be a backup or to compete with Bradley? But, now we know the Trent's future. There's no reason for us not to bring in a right back. We need one. How good do you think young Rio would be in the main squad? I think he's going to be incredible. And I don't know if it's true that the club have been holding back footage of him embarrassing some of the senior players like Trent in training. But either way, whenever this young man is thought to be ready for first team action, I think we're going to get some exciting times. I mean, I'm not going to go full Arsenal fan here and say he's going to be the next Lamine Yamal, but I do think we've got a really, really talented player, and you can understand why Chelsea were so upset when Liverpool were able to come in and get him. We have to bring in 5 players now, said Bruno. Strange, because some people tell me Frimpong's just like Trent, weak defensively, and others tell me he's best of both worlds. I just don't think of him as a right back. I think of him as a wing back in a system that Leverkusen play that suits him more. But, football is full of times where managers have brought in a player that's thought of as X, Y, or Z and moulded them into something else. I mean, if you even go through, Trent started out as a centre forward, I think, when he was playing at a younger age. Stefan Bajcetic was a centre back who then moved into midfield. So happens quite a lot. Even the example I keep giving is Mane. Mane was a right winger until Salah came to Liverpool, and then he became a left winger. So yeah, often at times it's just about where the manager sees and has a vision for a player. Which makes it even more interesting of where Trent's going to fit in the Madrid system. Like, if Xavi Alonso goes there, is he going to be right wing back? You would imagine he would have that Frimpong role. Muckrab said, I'd sooner play Frimpong right wing than right back, not ahead of Salah, obviously. Well, that's what I was mentioning, mate. It would give you the best of both world option. So, let's say we're in a game that we are trailing in, and you had him playing, let's say you had Bradley on at right back, and we're in a game and we're trailing, and the manager wants to go a bit more attack-minded. Well, if you had a left back, somebody like Jarell Haddo, who could then drop in and play in a back 3, so we could push another body forward, in this case Frimpong, you would give another attacking option. So there are ways you can utilise him, but I do agree, I wouldn't be thinking of playing him week in, week out as a right back, because he isn't a right back in my mind either. When's the show in Liverpool? There's 2 shows. 2 shows in Liverpool. The one that you can see on the left, the title celebration party, is the last day of the season, and it's at the Hot Water Comedy Club. The one on the right is 3 days later, 28th of May, again, Hot Water Comedy Club. The one on the left, it'll just be myself, and we'll be there for the entire day. They're going to be showing screening the game, the final game of the season, the trophy lift and all that stuff. And then the other one is myself, Connor, Chris, Steve and Jack all together for one night only. So the answer is the 25th and the 28th, both at the Hot Water Comedy Club, both all ages events, and both selling very, very well, I'm delighted to say. Cal said, still no links to Retegui, 24 goals and assists the last 7 in Italy. He's the guy from Atalanta, right? Their striker. Every time I look on LiveScore or, another app, he does seem to be popping up on the goals quite a bit, but I don't watch much Serie A, so I don't know if he's any use or not. I don't even know what age he is, to be honest with you. The Happy News channel said, thanks, Craig. Hopefully I get to it. My pleasure. And if you have any more questions or anything, my friend, please feel free to throw it into the chat and I'll do my best to answer it. But they're all ages events. It depends what you want from the show, to be honest with you, because the show on the Wednesday, the 28th, I think it's going to be a longer show for a start. And it's going to have segments where it's just me, segments where there's 5 of us on a panel. I'm going to be interviewed by Chris for the first time ever. And then the other show, last day of the season, well, you've got the whole last day of the season angle, trophy lift, a full day at the venue, first 500 people in when they open the doors at 11 a.m, 500 free points of MADRID. And then it's just me on stage, do more interactive stuff with the audience because it's just going to be me. So yeah, different shows, different vibes, but both of them hopefully going to be a celebration of the Reds winning the league. And we're going to have the Premier League trophy with us as well for both shows. Well, a replica of the Premier League trophy, I should say. Craig, plan for the rest of the season, give the ball to Mo. Well, look, he needs to pull up his socks a bit. Mo hasn't been the same player over the past few weeks, you know, so we need to get Mo back. Hopefully he can finish the season, get a couple more goals and assists and get us excited and ready for next season. It is going to be very interesting to see how we do approach these last 3 games, though. Muckrab said, Craig, I can see Rio being sold in a few years. Can't see him slots pass system. Well, I don't think he'll get sold. I think, he's a Liverpool fan as well, if I'm correct. I think I am. And Slot's been really impressed by him from the few bits of information I have. And if somebody's that good, you're going to find a way to get him in and give him moments. So, look, let's wait and see. But it's a bit early to be talking about whether we sell him on or not because we haven't even seen him in the first team yet. So if he comes in and delivers, but you won't be selling him on, will you? Because, he'll be doing the job. So it's just when's the right time to unleash him is probably the fairest way to say it. David said, as you know, Craig, I live in Italy. The forward for Atalanta isn't good enough for Liverpool. Appreciate that, David. And look, as I said, I don't know too much about him. When I'd watched Atalanta previously, I was more looking to watch Ederson in midfield because he'd been a player that I liked, and when we needed that midfielder player, I hope we brought in. Swedish thing about next season, Craig, will be winning the league. Oh, mate, if we go back-to-back next season, yeah, that would be incredible. But look, any big trophy next year would be incredible. If Arna can win silverware 2 years in a row, I mean, it will be a very exciting time for us fans and certainly be looking positively and optimistically to the future. We chuck down in at the deep end, do the same with Rio. Yeah, but it's about career longevity as well. So Michael Owen's body was burnt out and start picking up a lot of injuries. And if you have an explosive player, you don't want to overplay them too young and then have them picking up these repetitive injuries throughout their career. So it's a difficult one. And I'm glad I'm not the manager having to make these tough decisions on when you introduce a young player into the team. For me, the time to do it is when the team is doing well, playing well and winning. And you bring him into a winning team. You're not putting him into a team where he has to be a decisive factor and the pressure's ramped up twofold. I hate it when a young player's thrown in and let's say we're in a period where we're having a bit of a wobble or something and they don't produce immediately or change a game and people write them off. I think you got to be patient with them. It's not unusual to see a young player given a little taste of first team action, then pulled away again for a while, continue work with the coaches and then ease back into it, so it'll be up to Arne Slot. I mean, certainly I think we see him on the pre-season tour. Have Barca really made it 3-2? Oh my God, how have they turned that around? That is nuts. It was 2-0 to Inter Milan when I was just starting the stream. That's crazy. That is crazy. I was watching that game and I was just thinking that high line that Hansi Flick plays it's nuts. I mean, it's effective, but if you were a fan of Barcelona, that high line must give you heart palpitations watching it. They really do squeeze every single yard and try to compact the pitch as much as possible. But Inter are having joy playing around it. So, wow. How long's left? There couldn't be too long left in that one, right? We must be going towards the 90-minute mark now. Rafinha with the goal as well. I mean, his numbers in the Champions League this year have been nothing short of sensational. The Liverpool prophet says Hansi Flick has Ange Postecoglou vibes. Interesting shout. Wow. So there's 1 minute and added to go. Oof. That's they've done it the hard way anyway, haven't they? I mean, it certainly hasn't been a boring semi-final. What is it? 11 goals in total over 2 games of football. That's nuts. Can't say we weren't entertained as football fans in that Champions League semi. How do you go from 2-0 up though? And Inter looked like they were playing with a swagger. That's crazy. Did not see that comeback coming for Barca in the second half. Lewandowski coming on now as well to help them see it out. Yeah, he was on the bench, wasn't he? Coming back from an injury. That's crazy. I wonder if Barcelona will feel now that that's their famous comeback. I know they had one previously with PSG, but you wonder, is that going to be their getting rid of the Liverpool ghosts? Because I think the last semi-final, 2-legged semi-final they were in, they ended up losing those 4-0 at Anfield, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, wow, maybe they've rescued it for themselves. Muckrab said, I think next season I'd play Rio, but definitely McConnell against the newly promoted teams, probably as a sub. Yeah, I like McConnell as well. I hope he's given an opportunity because, I think we both agree, Muckrab, whenever he's given the chance, he certainly looks the real deal. But as mad as this sounds, I sat here last night and went through all the squad of players who could potentially move on. And honestly, you could easily get to 10 if you really wanted to. If you're talking about fringe players, and you could easily have 10 departures and not bat an eyelid, and justify them in your own thought process as well. So it really is all set up to be a very interesting summer. And I hope we set the tone early in the window. Barcelona PSG final could genuinely end in double figures. Oh, look, it'll be an incredible final if PSG can get past Arsenal tomorrow. And look, they do have a 1-0 lead. That would be nuts, that final. Absolutely nuts. Michael said, I got to 9 and I thought 9 could go. Yeah, honestly, you could look through the squad and you could make an argument for 9, 10, 11 players justifiably moved on this summer. But do we think there's going to be 9, 10, 11 incomings? No, of course not. And that's where I get... Look, sometimes I've no problem with players moving on. So let's use as an example. Tyler Morton. If we sold him, I don't think we need to bring in a replacement. Let's say Owen Beck. If you sold him, I don't think you need to bring in a replacement. Cade Gordon. Players like that. There are players on the fringes who I think we could sell on and just make a few quid. Ben Doak, probably another example. Don't think you need to replace Ben Doak if you sell him, because wasn't really part of the team anyway. So there are things like that you could utilise. So what I'd hope, though, is that Liverpool go out and proactively spend at the start of the window and then start trying to recoup some money with selling on some of those fringe players. I hope it's not a case of us having to wait around to see what players we can move on. That'll be a worry for me if that's the window. 3-3? No, stop it. How did they get that? That's fucking nuts. How have they got it back to 3-3, lads? That is absolutely insane. Oh my God. That's insane. Wow. And goal stands and all, yeah? Nothing wrong with the goal? That's nuts. Fair play. What a game of football, lads. Wow. 6-6 on aggregate in a Champions League semi-final. If Barca go out now, lads, oh my God, they'll be hunted forever. How do you not see that out with just stoppage time and a goal up? That's nuts. I don't know how you don't see that out with, what is it, 5 minutes of stoppage time? So it looks like they're heading for extra time and potentially penalties. Wow, that's nuts. Wow. 37-year-old, the goal scorer for Inter as well, 93rd minute. So there's still time for a winner, is what you're telling me. Mutt Say What You See said, I want us to hit the ground running for transfers in the summer, the minute the window opens. So do I. I want us doing business during that initial shorter window from the 1st to the 10th of June. I hope we get a couple of signings in there. Flick booked. Wow, this is incredible, lads. That is absolutely incredible. They'll start to have Anfield flashbacks now. Let me know when it's over and it's going into extra time, because I'm going to go watch the extra time then. That's incredible. It's down to whatever the ref wants now at his discretion. Wow, what a tie. Absolutely incredible. This is why we love football, right? Moments like this. Barca 2-0 down, they bring it back to 3-2, and then you're thinking, oh my God, Inter have absolutely choked going into extra or additional time, and then Inter pull it back to 3-3. That's why we love the game. And Yamal just hit the post as well before that. That's incredible. Wow. Muckrab said, Ramsey, Williams, Phillips, Doe, Chiesa, Endo, Elliot, Nunes, Jota, Kwanzaa, Gomez, Costas, Kelleher, 13 out. And all fairly reasonable and potential, mate. And of those coming out, I'd say one, Endo I'm not sure about, but the rest I think is there's a fair chance. Endo, Elliot, Nunes, Jota, Kwanzaa. Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leg it and go watch this extra time. But we will stick up a news video when extra time's over. So do keep an eye out for that one. I just can't miss this extra time, to be honest with you. The football fan in me is just saying, Craig, go watch it. So look, I'll come back, recap everything, do a news video. But I'm going to go watch this extra time because it looks like it's set for an absolutely banging 30 minutes plus potentially penalties. So, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you guys tomorrow. We will be live tomorrow, 8:45, same time. But I'm going to go watch this extra time and enjoy it like the rest of you. So keep an eye out for the news video dropping later. Again, thank you to our sponsor, Surfshark, as well. Appreciate everybody for dropping in with us.